Hello guys, Joe from Real Talk here, and as if you can see by how I'm dressed and by the title of this video, we're talking about the best movies of 2015. It's been a great year of movies, to be honest. I think that there's been a lot of good, a lot of bad, and a lot of mixed bags, but I do think that 2015 was a very successful year for filmmaking and for cinema in general. Now, if you're like me and wanting to make your own list, go ahead and comment below and let me know your top 10 list. After all, these are only my top 10 list, so if you have a different one, feel free to comment below. So let's go ahead and get started with my list. Number 10. Furious 7 was a fantastic movie. I thought that it was a great movie from beginning to end for different reasons. I don't think that it's definitely that quality movie that you were expecting. It doesn't have incredible storytelling, it doesn't have compelling characters, but it has something very good. It has charm. Fans of the Fast and Furious franchise were really excited to see this movie, and they were really hopeful to see how the franchise would send off Paul Walker. And I think the movie did a great justice to send off Paul Walker. You're there to enjoy some awesome and quality action, and I think that the movie delivered a lot of action that the audience were craving. And I felt like I got my money's worth when I saw this movie, so that's why it's number 10 on my list. Number 9. It Follows was definitely one of the scariest movies I've seen in a long time, and not scary in the jump scare way or scary in a turn a corner, you see somebody scary, you get scared type of way. It's a creepy movie that catches you from the very beginning and to the end of it. You're very much on the edge of your seat, just looking to see like what kind of sequences are going to happen next. The concept of the movie was definitely a unique one, where you are running away from something, but it never sleeps, it never stops, it'll keep coming at you even when you're asleep. So you can get as far away as possible, but the scary thing is that this monster is going to keep coming. It's just going to keep walking. And that's the scary thing about this movie, because you're caught on the end of your seat following these characters that, by the way, aren't compelling, but they are definitely good enough to get through the movie, and especially good with this concept. But at the end of the movie, you definitely feel like the movie caught on being very scary. And I think that when I watched this movie and when you watch this movie, you're going to be very scared driving home. You're going to be looking behind your backseat a couple times to see if something's there or not. Number 8. Colin Firth and Samuel Jackson definitely make this one of the best movies I've seen all year. Their performances were great. They brought some legitimacy to the entire movie. I felt that the cast as well, the rest of the cast was very believable. And I thought that the action through Matthew Vaughn's direction, of course, was one of top notch. You always expect the best from Matthew Vaughn. And I think that he brings in so much uniqueness to a lot of his movies, and you can kind of just sense it. You can kind of just see it and be like, yeah, that's Matthew Vaughn's style. And that really made this movie so unique, because it's a spy thriller, but it's got Matthew Vaughn's style to it. So it's very funny at times, as well as very serious. And I think that Samuel Jackson is a very good bad guy, so you end up falling in love with him sometimes, but because he's such a great bad guy. But at the end of the day, Donald's part in the movie, I thought that it was one of the funniest things I've ever seen. One of the best uses of product placements I've ever seen. So that's why McDonald's is why this is number 8. Number 7. Number 7 is Straight Out of Compton. And I really do like this movie for very different reasons that I liked Furious 7 or Secret Service. I thought that the movie was very serious from the get point, and I thought that the characters that were portrayed, by different actors that I have never seen before, I thought that they were very believable in performing those real life people. These are real people in real life, but the actors in this movie made their characters very believable, and you were just following the story of how these people that came from the very low point of society and kind of made something of their own, becoming a group of their own, and kind of just crumbling from the inside. And it's very tragic to see how this movie kind of goes forward with these characters, but it's very beautiful at the same time because of how much these characters have bonded in the short amount of time you've seen them in the movie. And that's why I think that Straight Outta Compton is number 7 for my list. Number 6. So Mission Impossible Rogue Nation is my number 6. Man, did I enjoy this movie. It's another movie where you're just caught in from the very beginning, and it keeps you attached to throughout the entire thing. And here's the funny story about this movie. I went to see this at a drive-in theater. I had to sit through Pixels to see this movie, and the whole time of Pixels, I was just thinking to myself, Mission Impossible better be good. And by golly, it was. Man, I just enjoyed this movie because of the performances and the attachments that I felt to the character Tom Cruise has been playing for the last, what, 5 movies? Or 4? Yeah, 5 movies. I think the addition of Ferguson as the female lead was another great thing. There's a lot of twists and turns as you're used to in the Mission Impossible movie, but I think that it kept that stable, action spy thriller mentality the entire way, and I just enjoyed the awesome cinematography and a lot of the action sequences, a lot of the chasing. There's a lot of chasing in this movie, and I thought that the chasing sequences were done very, very well, and that's why I enjoyed Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol, and that's why it's number 6 on my list. Number 5. Now, Ex Machina I've spoken before in my previous review, and I thought that this was definitely one of the best movies of the year, and it reached to that number 5 point because it was very, very good. And I think that it was a refreshing story it was very unique in a different sci-fi type of environment. Domhnall Gleeson, Oscar Isaac, and Alicia Vikander. I think that the entire cast was great in this movie. It was very claustrophobic in the smaller environment. And it takes this unique approach to the idea of artificial intelligence, how artificial intelligence can really fool the human mind. And in a way, it keeps you on the edge of your seat because you're wondering, is she going to escape? Is she going to make her way out? Is she going to outsmart the humans? And I think that was something very unique about this movie. But this is why number 5 on my list is Ex Machina. Number 4. So The Hateful Eight is my number 4. I just enjoy claustrophobic stories because it has a very unique way of telling characters and a unique way of progressing storylines. Like I said in my previous review, I thought that the environment in this movie was very appropriate. Being set in the westerns after the Civil War and in the middle of the snowing environment in the blizzard in Wyoming, it keeps you attached in this cabin area because there's nowhere else to go because the story basically leads to here. The cast was phenomenal. Quentin Tarantino knows how to write dialogue like nobody's business. Quality of the acting was phenomenal. The dialogue was top notch. There wasn't much action sequences in the movie, but there was a lot of points where you were just watching people sit and talk and exchange dialogue, but you were very much interested because all these characters had a sort of unique story to tell. You find yourself also, once again, like Ex Machina, not rooting for pretty much anybody. You're just kind of saying, who's the worst person in the entire cabin? They are. Kill them. As for this movie, it's number 4 on my list. Number 3. So number 3 is The Martian. Man, I love this movie. I just enjoyed this movie from the point Matt Damon showed up on the screen. I thought that his performance was one of the best I've seen all year by any actor because he's isolated throughout the entire movie. And at the end of the movie, when he's finally reunited and with his friend, spoiler alert, when he's reunited with all his friends and his colleagues, you're just rooting for this guy to make it home, to make it back. Whenever you get to the point where he's finally about to escape, you're almost on the edge of your seat, almost kind of like a rocket ship taking off. You're just like, wow, I can't wait to see what happens. I hope they succeed. I hope he makes it back up. And it's one of the most satisfying movies I've seen all year, and that's why it's number 3 on my list. Number 2. Mad Max was phenomenal. I just enjoyed it. The cast was great. The action sequences were great. I thought that George Miller returning to the director's chair for this movie was appropriate. Mad Max, the original two, I think, were some of the best I've ever seen in any movie. And I love Charlize Theron, along with Tom Hardy in the movie. I thought that Tom Hardy, although he's not the lead man like Mel Gibson was in this movie, I thought that him as Mad Max was very believable and caught me through with the story. And I thought that this adventure was very fun. I thought it was full of action and some phenomenal sequences done in this entire movie. I thought that the action sequences were great. I think that the practical effects just added to the grittiness of this entire movie. And that's something worth noting because a lot of movies nowadays look so glossy with their CGI. I thought that it captivated people with the story. I thought it captivated people with the characters, the action, the sets, everything. I thought this movie was one of the most perfect movies I've seen in years. And that's why Mad Max Fury Road is my number 2. Number 1. Star Wars The Force Awakens leaves a mark that I believe these movies won't. And that's what separates it. I think that these other movies are fantastic. They will definitely have, some of them will have sequels, some of them won't. They're very good in their original state. They're very good in being their own movies. But I feel like The Force Awakens did something very unique. I felt that this movie brought back a generation to the cinemas while capturing a new generation for this franchise. And I think J.J. Abrams and the cast and the crew deserve the highest amount of respect. It was so important, and there was so much pressure on this entire group to deliver. And I thought that everybody delivered, from the cast, from the trio of Oscar Isaac, Daisy Ridley, John Boyega, to the original trilogy of Mark Hamill, Harrison Ford, and Carrie Fisher. Now, Mark Hamill's not in this movie a lot, but I thought that the minutes he was in the movie worked very well. And as for Harrison Ford, man, did he steal it again. I think that Harrison Ford was so happy to be back as Han Solo. Kylo Ren was fantastic. I can't wait to see how his character is explored in the next movie. And I think there's so much potential for the rest of the cast as well. And that's the greatest thing about this movie, that even though it's great on its own feet, it kind of just leaves you open-ended and says, give me more. I want to see more. To bring the fans of the original trilogy, to bring people who kind of like the prequels, not so much like the prequels, and to bring a completely new slate of fans. That's a reason why this movie's already made $1 billion, because it's so good on its own feet, and it opens up so many opportunities and so many directors to come back and to love it. There's going to be directors in the future that are going to be inspired by this movie, and I couldn't see any other movie making it #1 on my list. So guys, that's my list. I know that you probably have different opinions on the movies I picked and how you would place them. Comment below and let me know what your list is for the best movies of 2015. Also, be sure to leave a like for this video. That'd be great. Also, subscribe for more awesome videos here on this channel. This has been Joel from Real Talk. Thanks for watching.